Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Thursday, the 12th of January. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Joshua Barrie. How are we getting on, Joshua?
Yeah, good to be back. Enjoyed Adam's.
Uh-huh.
I was going to say debut, but it's anything from his debut. His appearance yesterday, Derek. So, good to be back after a break, feeling refreshed.
Yeah, Adam was in fine form yesterday, although not enamoured by the likening to John Hartson. Someone called Ian Thompson, I think, one of the viewers called him a skinny John Hartson, which I kept chuckling throughout the day at that. So that was an absolutely cracking view there from Ian. But let's talk all things Rangers. Before we do that, folks, just a word from our sponsors, Seneca. You can see on the screen there, they're the number one hair transplant cooperation in Europe. They've done 43,000. They've treated 43,000 hairless sufferers throughout the continent. They're the number one hair transplant group. If you're looking to reinvigorate the top of your head, then these are the guys to go to. Although Joshua, I think you won't be utilising their services for some time soon, but certainly me and Adams are in that market, I think, for them. So great guys. These, if you're thinking about it, folks, then do go check them out. I've put in all the links to their website and their social media accounts in the description box as well. So go and have a look. And sufferers is the comment it comes in there. Yeah, absolutely. Although some people just embrace the baldness. So whatever your preference, there's no judgment here. And just you can see the little ticker below, folks. We've got another offer on the website just now. 2 months worth of coverage for £2. Go and head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. Right, let's talk Rangers, Joshua, and let's talk transfers. Let's got an update on in terms of Todd Cantwell. We did report a couple of days ago that Norwich City had turned down a bid from an unnamed English Championship club. We believe that now to be Blackburn Rovers. They've had a £1.5 million bid turned down for the midfielder. The Lancashire Telegraph understands it, expects that Cantwell will join Rangers at some point this month. Rangers, of course, credited with an interest in the 24-year-old who is out of contract at Carrow Road in the summer. You did a great piece on him on the website, Joshua, the other day. I'd urge you to go and check it out. People, it is absolutely sensational. What was your main findings from that, Joshua? What can people expect if Cantwell comes in the building?
Yeah, I'm just putting it in the comment section just now, Derek. Obviously, we know that there is interest from Rangers. I don't think it. How do you say it? There takes time. Sorry, for that to maybe materialise into a bid, or whether that would be obviously Cantwell's out of contract in the summer. I think Rangers need to strengthen now. They need a player of his type of profile now, and as you say from the report, Derek, from the Lancashire Telegraph, there's going to be interest elsewhere from Cantwell. Last season, last year at this time, he was taken on loan by Bournemouth. They obviously went on to win the championship. It was interesting listening to a different perspective. Adam speaking about him yesterday, and he's right to say that 18 months ago he was credited with this £20 million with this £20 million move. He's had a difficult season and a half. I think that's partly because of the manager and the way that he wanted to use him or his style of play. And again, it's a great point Adam makes. It's similar to the situation that Rangers have had with players like Ryan Kent or Morelos, players who everyone knows how good they can be under a certain manager, but when things aren't going as well, when the club's not in a good position, it can really impact player performance. For me, Cantwell would be a player that would be coming into play in the midfield three more than the front three. I think Michael Beale's team, the system's kind of got four parts to it, four components at the moment. The defence, which everyone knows, the fullbacks are going to contribute to the attack. Even if sometimes they stay deeper in the build-up. Then you've got the deep line midfielders, attacking midfielders and goal scorers. It's not that Rangers are playing a 4-4-2 as much as many people would like that, but they are including 2 goal scorers. So if you look at player roles, you think of Morelos and Sakala, and then Kent and Tillman behind them, and then it's been Lundstrom and Jack. I think the area that Rangers need to strengthen is when they are playing a 3 in that midfield, to have a ball progressor in there, people who can carry the ball from deep. And that frees up someone like Ryan Kent to not come and take the ball off of the defence so deep and have to drive up the pitch. I think it frees up Tillman to play a little bit higher at points as well. And I think Cantwell, although he is regarded as an attacker, he is really comfortable dropping deep and getting on the ball, carrying it forward. I think his best skill is actually how he plays kind of under pressure when he receives the ball in tight spaces. So I don't think the argument that he wouldn't cope in the Scottish game. I think if you look at how much he's going to have been kicked already, but he's also not someone who really relies on space, I'd say. And what I mean by that is he's not a Matondo style who you maybe want to isolate out wide all the time. And that's where you're going to see the best of him. There's an interesting interview he did with the Athletic, which I include in the piece, a quote from it, and he's speaking about how he bases his attack off the way defenders move. And he speaks about body manipulation and the way he likes to dribble. And it's a very Beale-esque kind of sentence, similar to the way you might think of someone like Glenn Kamara or Joe Aribo, who aren't going to do 100 stepovers, but are able to get past players using their body in clever ways. So I think Cantwell very much fits the Beale mould. I think he's someone that, if the circumstances were to align, it would be a good signing for Rangers. If they could get it done this window, of course, there's going to be time. There's going to need time to settle in. Beale said as much, but he also needs people who are going to come and grow and not shrink. And I guess that comes into the discussions that he's having with different players about a potential move to Ibrox, because he knows he needs to get that right if these players are to make an impact between now and the end of the season.
Yes, so many comments coming in. We'll try and get to a few of them. Ian Muir tuning in all the way from Sydney. Morning, Ian, or is it evening over there? Shame we didn't go for Harry Suter. He says he would like to see John's brother enter Ibrox. Let's get to a few of the comments coming in. Well, first of all, we'll touch on this. Ian Lamb says, when's the review app starting? It is that the technical boards are apparently working on it. They have been for some time. Johnny is the man to ask about that, Ian. He can give you a more clearer answer on that one, but it's certainly something that we hope to have in the pipeline. As Colin Cooper says, is Johnny on holiday? Yes, he is taking a well-deserved time off, so he will be back next week. This is an interesting point from Aldo, Joshua. What do you guys think? Your interesting Cantwell says about Lowry and his position at the club. This ties in nicely because you've got a piece on the website this morning on Alex Lowry off the back of that hat-trick against Civil Service Strollers for the B team the other night.
Yep.
Pardon me. What does it say about Cantwell? Does that push him further down the pecking order?
I don't know. I mean, the point I was making with Lowry is, you see, if anyone's not seen the hat-trick, go and watch the third goal. People will say, "Oh, look at the level of opposition." Just regardless, it's an amazing piece of skill, and it's what Lowry does. In the piece, I say, Beale's been speaking about Rangers playing like the big team, and Beale knows what football I think people expect to see, and that can help you massively as a manager if you understand the expectation. And similarly, I think Lowry is the type of player that Rangers supporters like to see, because he plays like he's better than other players, and that's normally because he is. He has the ability to back that up, the ability to try things. And often, at youth level, you see him score all these goals and he just turns away as if nothing's happened. But I think you've got to look at what Michael Beale said when he's speaking about Lowry. He said after the Motherwell game, I think you see where he's at. He's got some very good things. He's got some things he needs to work on. He referenced the importance of training when he gave a longer answer at a press conference, saying it was something along the lines of, would your teammates pick you? It's a big thing for young players to earn their place off the back of would their teammates pick them in a game, because he says when Lowry goes into the team, I expect him to stay there. For me, what you'd gain putting Lowry out on loan to whatever level, you take away the ability to work with Beale on the training pitch, which I think is the main thing that's kind of underlining Beale's answers. The way that Lowry will get better, it's not a question of talent or ability. at all. I think he has that now, and I don't think it's a question of confidence, because I think everyone can see that Lowry rightly has that. I think it's a question of him developing those areas, whatever they may be, presumably some off-ball stuff, developing those areas, working under Beale, developing those areas in the system. I think you've already seen someone like Malik Tillman do that, who has a real physical capacity off the ball. But I think in the first few games under Beale, we've seen when he was pressing by the touchline, which the midfielders always do, he was a bit slow at points to do that. I don't think he's been I think he's been a lot better over those few games, and that comes from working with the coaching staff at Rangers. So off the back of that hat trick there, I think a lot of questions justifiably follow. What follows for the rest of the season? What's the value of playing him in the B team? And I think it's up to Lowry to kind of continue to earn that place in the squad. I'd be surprised if he wasn't in the squad at the weekend off the back of that hat trick. But also, I speaking from a personal opinion, what you think is best for a player's development, I don't think that the game time and responsibility to get out on loan outweighs the fact that he already is good enough as a player. It's just about refining those attributes, which I think happen probably on the training pitch with Michael Beale.
Yeah, a loan. Callum makes an interesting point here. He says that a loan to Hearts or Hibs would benefit Lowry. I'm of the opinion, I think a loan could be good if it is a team at a decent level. Hearts and Hibs would be decent level for me, or English Championship, I think, would be decent level for me. I think you could play there no problem at all. I think I would rather that than have him just as coming on playing cameos every other week or so. But he needs game time. He's one of a number of players, and include Charlie McCann in that as well. He's not really featured much, has he? He's another one. I think he's too good for the B team, Joshua. He's made that step up. It's just that bridge between forcing himself into that first team now and playing the B team at the Lowland League. The level is too low for them to be playing at this stage, isn't it? You need something like Adam Devine. He's made the breakthrough. He's now getting opportunities, isn't he? But it's those players, just the likes of McCann, the likes of Lowry, that are just biding their time.
Yeah, and Lowry also hasn't really had his chance. He had one game against Motherwell. I think he played in a slightly deeper position. There's a link to that piece in the piece that's been written for this morning. He's not had 3-4 games in a row where you start to see the best out of him. And we've been speaking about Ben Davies in the last week, Derek. You've only seen the best out of him after he's played, 4 games in a row, 5 games in a row. Same with Fashion Sakala. It's the first time he started. I think it was at 5 of the last 6. I think it's the first time he's done that out with the end of last season when the league was already gone, and we mentioned that the other day. But this is what Beale says his area of expertise is. It's where his experience lies, developing young players. And I just wonder if too often we think the best way to develop young players is that they need to go out on loan. And actually, that does happen. But if you look at a lot of big clubs as well, it doesn't always happen. And I think a lot of the impetus behind that is because clubs want them to. Training's so important now. And Beale, what was the comment he made in the recent press conference, Derek, where he said the training within the building, and he keeps speaking about putting the dial up in the building and increasing the competition, but he said the training should be as competitive as the games you face at the weekend. There was some comment along those lines, was there not?
Yeah.
I can't remember it off the top of my head. For me, there shouldn't be a worry, I think, that Lowry is going to waste away in the B team for a season and a half, because I'm sure that Beale, if there's any player that he has a real plan for, it's going to be Lowry. And yeah, just my inkling is that will come with a lot of work on the training pitch. Maybe a loan move will happen. Maybe that will benefit him. This is why we like football, because it's all opinions.
Yeah. Yeah, and as Jamie said, that's an interesting one. Maybe a loan to someone like Hamburg. Certainly playing continental football for 6 months certainly wouldn't do him any harm. Broxy Bears /Rangers video says, how can Lowry learn to play for Rangers out of loan? Listen, it's interesting viewpoints, different opinions with regards to Alex Lowry's immediate future. There's an interesting point as well made here by Ross. Morning, Ross. He says, Lowry's too good for the B team but hasn't done enough to start games for the first team yet. Is this a similar situation to what we've seen at Man City with Pep and Phil Foden? Patience required. Yeah, there's no doubting his talent, and I'm sure he will become a regular for Rangers in time, but it's this immediate future, I think, what is best for Alex Lowry going forward. In terms of other transfer stories that are making the headlines at the moment, this one it's not a transfer story. I'm going to nip this in the bud right now. Andrew Langham says Dele Alli would be a good player for Rangers, just if you need to keep him motivated, but very good player. I think he's done, Joshua. It looks like a sad demise. He's been at Besiktas on loan.
Yeah,
looks like it's not going to be going to be in Turkey for too much longer. It's really sad to see this, because at the time when he was bursting through at Tottenham, he really was a class act, wasn't he? But no idea what's happened to him.
You look at the money that someone like him's on as well, and it even comes into the conversation about someone like Cantwell or Tom Davies. If you're playing in the Premier League, these people are on so much money, and that's what Rangers have to compete with. Yes, they have a unique selling point with the size of the club that teams who can pay more can't compete with, or European football, or just what it means to play for a club of this size comparatively to someone else. But you're competing against seriously big wages, and someone like Dele Alli, obviously it's, as you say, it's non-starter, Derek, but I mean the amount of money that he'll be on anyway at Besiktas will be kind of far out with the reaches of the Rangers.
I don't think you would. I wouldn't be touching him with a barge pole, if I'm being honest. Andrew Hunter with you can donate to the channel, folks, and support the work we do here at YouTube. A big thanks to Andrew Hunter, who's donated £2 to post a comment here. The future of Lowry should be put to Beale. It has been done in the last few press conferences, but yes, certainly in terms of. I think if I get the opportunity tomorrow when the press conference takes place, I may ask him. He
gave a detailed answer just before. I want to say it was after the Aberdeen game, maybe Derek. There's been the thing is, Beale said a lot because he's had a lot of press conferences.
Yeah,
but that was when he spoke about the importance of training, when he spoke about the fact that this is his area of experience. And obviously before he played that game against Motherwell, so it has been put to him pretty recently.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Just moving slightly away from transfers, Joshua. Sonny Boy raises a point: defo chemistry between Sakala and Morelos when they play together. Do you expect to see them on Sunday? Do you reckon that them two? I haven't. I think for me, Morelos changed the game when he came on at Tannadice on Sunday. Still not. At his best, there's no question about it, but he created space. I think that was plain to see in that second half, and I certainly think there is chemistry between the pair of them. I would like to see the both of them start on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he changed. I think he helped change the game. If you watch the first goal back, and again, you can read this piece on the website. Michael Beale spoke about how Rangers needed to overload after the break, and if you look at the build up to the first goal, it's actually really clear, and it's an encouraging sign because it's something that hasn't been that clear at Rangers over they haven't had that control, I think, in opening teams up for a while. But the move, and again, the passing sequence, everything is in the piece. I'll find it after I've stopped talking and put it in the comments section, Derek. The Rangers did really well to create space, and then Beale said he wanted Sakala to come off the right and attack the left. That creates the extra man there, and obviously it's a fantastic finish. Tillman's finish for the second goal really good as well, and I think it comes out of Dundee United being a little bit out of whack after conceding that goal and then giving the ball up cheaply, and Rangers being in a position to drive forward and capitalise on it. But I know what you mean. I think Morelos helped. I think Rangers looked better with a striker who they could play into the feet of, even if he still, for me, isn't at his best. I don't think anyone would say he is at the moment. Would you start him at Hampden? I mean, probably anyway, because obviously Čolak went off that injury and he's only played 45 minutes of football since November. So you're going to start him in a cup semi-final? Probably not. I imagine that Čolak was actually starting at the weekend in part with a view of starting Morelos against Aberdeen, because he himself has obviously been playing through some sort of hamstring issue that Beale's mentioned a number of times over recent weeks. Sakala has to start at the moment because he's given you that goal threat again. As we mentioned, it's a rare occasion that he's been able to play this many games in a row, and his goal return has been really impressive. So I think you have to play him undoubtedly in the next few weeks. He'll have a game where it doesn't come off for him and it's frustrating. But I don't see how you can't start a player who scored 5 goal involvements in 5 starts so far under Beale. I think outside of Morelos coming back in for Čolak, I think McLaughlin might stay in goals because of the cup game factor to it. I don't see there being any other changes to the starting 11 unless a Kamara were to come back in for a Jack. But I thought Jack's second half against Dundee United was his best performance in a while as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know we said that we don't foresee many changes. I didn't foresee many changes against Dundee United, and don't think anyone would have predicted that starting lineup, Joshua. So, listen, it'll be interesting. As I mentioned, we speak to Michael Beale tomorrow, and he's been quite candid in telling us what changes will be made. He wouldn't go as far as saying what personnel will be playing, but I'm sure he'll be as open as ever tomorrow. It really is a pleasure to be a part of these press conferences recently. He talks a lot of good things with regards to football. I wanted to touch on something else that I've seen in the headlines this morning, Joshua. Phil Hollander is someone who's has had injury problems to seek, of course. He's been on the treatment table more than he's been on the pitch. Michael Beale did recently address the defender's situation. He said that he's a fantastic player. For whatever reason, in the last year and a half, has been unable to show it. I thought when he was fit, he was always an excellent player for the club. I do not think anyone wants to be injured, and Philip certainly doesn't. I think on a personal level, while he's been out, his wife has given birth to twins, which is lovely for him as a dad. We get on really well, and at this moment in time, he has to focus on his rehab. And if he gets through that and is fit at 29, he has a great future ahead of him. We have to remember that he came from Serie A and was a full international before the injury. And we have to remember that when people are injured, sometimes perception is that people are happy to be injured. I can tell you that he is not and is in rehab every day. Now, reports in Sweden claim that Malmo, his former club, are keeping tabs on him about a potential move. Now, of course, he is out of contract in the summer. A potential pre-contract agreement could be agreed in January. I wouldn't be surprised if that was to materialise, Joshua. I think his days are numbered at Ibrox. Sad end it would be, because I think on his day he was the best out-and-out defender at the club, but he's just injured too often. But certainly would wish him well if he moves back to his homeland.
Yeah, it's a hard sell to offer someone a contract who's not played since, well, it would be almost the whole season. Hollander on his day, you're right, Derek. Obviously, you look at the level he came from, the fact he was a full international. As we spoke about the other day, rotating him with Balogun not only worked because both of them kind of needed, couldn't play every single game, but they gave you different options. One was better in a higher line, one was better playing slightly deeper, one's left-footed, one's right-footed, one's more of a passer, one's more of a carrier. I think Ben Davies is that spot next to Connor Goldson is his for certainly for the future on the basis of what we've seen so far. On the topic of the squad, Derek, just while we were moving on there, I think with players like Sakala, Cholak, Arfield that I've seen mentioned in the comments as well, that Rangers need good players on the bench, as simple as that sounds. And what I mean by that is I think there's sometimes a real tendency to think, okay, Cholak scored 11 and 14, he needs to play every game. I think he should play a lot of games domestically, but is he going to be start every single game up front for Michael Beale? Maybe not. Similarly with Sakala, I think he gives you a real goal threat in some games, but will he start every single game? Probably not. Someone like Scott Arfield, just because he makes a really good impact on the bench, I don't think it means he needs to start every single game. And that's the position of the squad that Beale needs to work towards, because with 5 subs now, even more so, the bench is so important in football. And not only do Rangers need that kind of competition for spaces to drive it, but they also need options. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all if you have someone like Cholak who has to kind of earn his place again, even though he's had a good start to the season, because you just can't give up positions at Ibrox just because people have certain attributes. On the flip side to that, the conversation around Cholak, the goals he scored in that run, Rangers haven't had a player like that in a long time. It's so important for me that of course he's going to stay. Of course he's going to have an important part in the squad. But you understand what I'm saying. I don't think he will start every single game next season, for example. And I don't think that's a negative or a sign that the manager doesn't fancy him or he's not suited to his style of play. I think it would just be working out how to harness his goal scoring ability in certain games. And then, as you're speaking about at the weekend, sometimes you will need a more physical striker who offers Rangers something different to maybe create space away from home.
Yeah, certainly. Mad Dog gets in touch. It says, also any news on Ridvan, Lawrence and Suter's return dates? I think when Michael Beale spoke about Lawrence and Suter last week, if I'm not mistaken, Lawrence had a setback. We're not sure when he is due to return. Suter is back in contact training, should be back alongside Hadji at the end of the month. Ridvan, not sure yet. I'll get an update on him tomorrow when we speak to the manager. I think he told you, Josh, a few weeks ago, it was the worst severity in terms of hamstring injuries. So you're talking a good, was it 5 weeks or even longer than 12 weeks? Was it 7 weeks into
12 weeks? Yeah, I think it was 6 or 7 weeks into 12 week, or maybe 6. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was the worst hamstring tear you could have. He spent some time back in Turkey, which is quite common when a player goes through rehab to be close to their family. Obviously, Hadji, a lot of his rehab was done in Amsterdam. I think Ridvan was settling just before that injury, and you saw even in those kind of first 8 minutes against Aberdeen, where he had a few kind of runs inside the pitch. Again, that gives you something completely different to Barisic, how he plays that left back role. I think Ridvan does become the number one, even though Barisic, you're starting to see the benefit of his crossing game. But again, that's a good option to have one of the two and to drive that competition. So in certain games when you do need maybe more deliveries from the left-hand side, you can play Barisic. But yeah, I think the positive is if he hadn't played any games before he'd been injured, you'd have maybe had to start the whole circus about, is he going to work? Etc., etc. Whereas now I think people have seen that he's a very good player, again, international at the age of 21. And it's just unfortunate they had that type of injury just after breaking into the team.
The Tom Lawrence one, I'm just trying to get what Michael Beale said.
He went to see a specialist, Derek. I know he went to see a specialist. I think it's been a really frustrating one for Tom Lawrence because obviously initially, I think he had an initial setback after he was injured. I think it was at the Ross County home game or something. He went down at the end.
Back at the end of August, I'm sure he suffered the initial injury, So we don't have a time scale on when Lawrence will be back. But listen, the sooner he's back, the better, because he is a quality player. But he's had a very unfortunate time with injury of late, as have many Rangers players. We just touched on Ridvan being one. Helander is another one, of course. Suter and Hadji are the sort of positive lights, you could say. Michael Beale did sound enthusiastic and optimistic when speaking about those two last week. So fingers crossed we can get both of them back in the matchday squad by the end of the month. The old cliche goes, it'll be like new signings for those two, both quality players. Okay, I think that'll do us there for today. Thanks to everyone for getting in touch with the programme as ever. It's very much appreciated. You can see the banner on your screen if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's totally free, and means you'll never miss a video when we go live. If you click the bell, you get a notification to your phone or your tablet or whatever. So you'll get a notification when we are about to go live. We'll be back tomorrow. It'll be myself and Ali Bain from the good old US of A. We'll be back in the afternoon like we were last Friday. So just a note, folks, we won't be back this tomorrow morning. Joshua is now going to hot-foot it to Hampden to speak to James Tavernier ahead of the game on Sunday. I won't speak to you before Sunday, Joshua. How do you think the game's going to
go? Hopefully well for Rangers. I think they've got the monkey off the back at Hampden. Is that the saying that got the monkey off the back? I made that up. That is the saying. Yeah. We were obviously at both the games last season, Derek, and I think especially in that Old Firm semi-final, before Arfield scores that goal, we were both just resigned to the fact that this is just what happens with this squad at Hampden. They don't win. I think that's important for them going into this game. I think the last time they met Aberdeen at Hampden, that 1-0 game where Sadiq missed the.
Oh, Jesus!
Yeah, it's
how could I forget?
Not a great one. So they have some. I guess some wrongs to right. I think they're in a confident vein of form. It's a big pitch. I think so far Beale's done well to take the emotion out of games that previously maybe the squad have fallen too much into, making these types of games into a battle. I think he'll be confident that if they can go and play their football, then they'll be able to win. So yeah, looking forward to it and hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, myself and Joshua will be at the game on Sunday, folks. We'll have all your usual pre-match video and post-match content as well. So really looking forward to coming up for it, and hopefully we're commentating and reporting on a Rangers victory. Okay, we'll be back again tomorrow, myself and Ali. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Bye for now.